So what do you do with all those people? And then Obama, he was the one that said basically all your lieutenants say there was no collusion. Well, that didn't work. Our collusion didn't work, and we couldn't stop him from being elected. But I want you, Brennan, and you, Clapper, and Comey, are you listening? I want all you guys go back and you concoct a new assessment that says, for the record, that your operatives found that he was colluding with the Russians, and I need it quick before he's president. That's what Obama did. If there's any justice, he should be indicted for that.
What you're about to hear is a forensic breakdown of something unprecedented in American history: the coordinated weaponization of multiple court systems against a single political figure. Victor Davis Hanson reveals a disturbing pattern. Prosecutors who campaigned on promises to get their target before identifying any actual crimes, cases where supposed victims explicitly said they weren't victimized, and legal theories that had never been attempted in American courts. Here's what makes this truly dangerous. When prosecutors become politicians and justice becomes performance art, every citizen becomes vulnerable. The same creative legal theories, the same elastic interpretations of law, the same coordination between federal and state authorities. None of this stops with one person. This isn't about guilt or innocence anymore. It's about whether we still have a justice system or just a very expensive political theater. Pay attention to how the machinery works. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it.
The biggest problem she had was it was threefold. She ran for office promising to get him. Denial, I guess that's a federal charge of denial of rights. She took away his civil rights. She said in advance with the bill of attainder, I'm going to get him. She didn't say how. She just said, I'm going to prosecute him and I'm going to put him in jail. That's what she ran on. And so it was this Lativia Berea, I have the man, just give me the charges. It was predetermined, and that really hurt her. The second thing was no one could ever figure out who was victimized. Deutsche Bank said, oh, yeah, we had $100 million of loans with him. It was great. He paid the interest ahead of time. In fact, we made money on him. And they said, well, did you know that he overvalued his? No, we looked at his collateral. We know better than you do. And they wouldn't even let that evidence in. They had outside appraisers who said, and then Mar-a-Lago, she said, was worth 17 or 18 million dollars. But as people pointed out, vacant lots not far from Mar-a-Lago, with only one side on the ocean, not two on waterways, were going vacant for 40, 50, 80 million dollars. So it was probably worth 600 million, 20 acres. So there was no victim. The valuation was undervalued, not overvalued. And the lender, who you would have thought would have said, let's prosecute that SOB, excuse my language, because he did this to us and did this to, and they said, no, we like him. And so it was a travesty, and it's very hard for all of us listening to adjudicate who was the worst judge. Judge Cohen, he was it Cohen and the E. Jean Carroll? No, it was Kaplan, Judge Kaplan. And he was the one who said that E. Jean Carroll, you could not bring in the fact that there was a Law and Order episode that was exactly what she'd accused. A TV show. She used the script, basically. And she admitted in court that she had watched that, and she knew that the same department store and the dressing room and a celebrity was accused in the TV show. Just what she was doing. And she couldn't remember the year in which she was attacked. And she said that her favorite show in the meantime was The Apprentice. And for almost 30 years, she didn't complain. And she would have never been able to bring the charges except the New York legislature passed a special bill of attainder directed at Trump and said, for 1 year, you can have no statute of limitations on accusations of sexual assault. So that judge, and then he was judge, jury, and executioner in a way that he fined Trump $83 million. She got on TV and said, hey, Rachel Maddow, do you want an apartment in Paris? You want to get new wardrobe? I got all this money. So it was a joke. Even her magazine that she wrote for, she said she had damages. She lost her job. They said, no, there's not really a market for an 80-year-old woman who writes about sex. Sorry. That's not why we fired her. And then, so that and then we had Judge Engoron. he was the Latita James judge. He was the one that dreamed up this $400 million fine plus 9% interest. And she ran on the idea that she was going to get him, just like E. Jean Carroll told everybody she was going to get Donald Trump. She wrote a book about men she'd slept with, and she said she was going to get them. And then Reid Hoffman paid that, and Judge Kaplan. And then Latita James ran, as I said, I'm going to go get him on this real estate deal. So that was the second one. And Judge Engoron fined Trump, and he put a gag order on him. Every time Trump said, "You are biased, you are ruling, you're a Democrat," so was Kaplan, no matter. And then there was a third judge, and that was Mershon, and that was the Alvin Bragg. He was a Democrat. He'd given to the Democrats. His daughter made a fortune, $80 million in new business as a Democratic consultant, advertising that her dad was going after Trump. He didn't disqualify. He put a gag order on Trump, da-da-da-da, and then Alvin Bragg, basically, he said, well, it's a federal offense, and the feds for 7 years haven't done anything about the 2015 gag order on, not gag order, but non-disclosure was a gag on Stormy Daniels. She got paid, what, 130 or something thousand not to talk about it. And they said, well, why didn't the feds say that that was a campaign expense that they didn't report? And they said, because anybody who's a public figure, or whether he's running for office or not, and some stripper comes up and says, or nudist porn star says, you had sex with me, I'm going to go tell everybody. It's perfectly legal to say, if you don't tell anybody, I'll give you this money. And it's not a campaign expense, and that's why the feds didn't charge it. So Bragg comes along and says, wow, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, Biden, remember Coangelo in the DOJ? He helped Latita James. He tutored her. Then he went to work for Garland. He's your number 3 guy. Can he quit and come back and help me? Because I need to find out how I charge this guy with a federal crime when I'm a local prosecutor. And they did. So that was, and then we had Jack Smith. And he was, I'm going to get him on insurrection. Nobody's ever been charged in 100 years on, and finally he got them on, 4 counts of January 6th. Oh, he was trying to interfere with an election. Oh, he was trying to conspire to interfere with an election. Oh, he was trying to racketeer to stop an election. It was a Florida judge. It was a Trump appointee, the only one. And she was wonderful. And she reined him in and said, you're not... So he had to refile when the Supreme Court said you could not prosecute a president in office for his normal duties. And then, of course, the whole thing blew up when Joe Biden came forward and said, oh, I just remembered. It's been 30 years since I had classified documents. I had them as a senator. Oh, I had them as a vice president. I didn't have them in one place like Mar-a-Lago. I had them in 4. I had them in Hunter's garage. Oh, I'm very patriotic and meritorious because I'm going to report mine, unlike Trump. And the only reason he did it because he was going to appoint Jack Smith as a special thing to go after Trump, and people are going to say, how about you? So then they appointed Robert Hur, then it got really weird. You know, he's guilty, but he's senile. He's senile enough to be president. He's too senile to address a jury. So we can't prosecute him. And after that, it was a joke.
Yeah, that's insane.
And so, you know, he's got all these hundreds of classified documents, thousands of them, 13,000 documents, 102 out of 13,000. And they even had to come with little labels to put them classified. And then they had to scatter them all over the floor. Look, it's a mess. It's worse than Hunter's garage. So it was just a sad chaff. They all project the Republican Party has been hijacked by ultra mega. Nah, does that work? Because that's what we've been hijacked. We're run by socialists and communists, so we're going to call them the same thing, that they've been hijacked. Oh, we've destroyed democracy. We tried to get him off the ballot. We raided his home. We had 5 legal cases to put him behind bars or bankrupt him. Oh, we impeached him twice. Oh, we tried him as a private citizen. Oh, he's destroying democracy. We'll just project what we're doing on. Clapper lied under oath to Congress when he said that the NSA didn't spy on people. Brennan did it twice. Comey basically lied 245 times and pled amnesia. Mueller lied when he said he didn't know what Fusion GPS or the Steele dossier were. Of course he knew what they were. So what do you do with all those people? And then Obama, he was the one that said basically all your lieutenants say there was no collusion. Well, that didn't work. Our collusion didn't work, and we couldn't stop him from being elected. But I want you, Brennan, and you, Clapper, and Comey, are you listening? I want all you guys go back and you concoct a new assessment that says, for the record, that your operatives found that he was colluding with the Russians. And I need it quick before he's president. That's what Obama did. If there's any justice, he should be indicted for that.
If you value honest analysis and real conversations, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. What did we miss, and what should we tackle next? Your voice makes this community stronger. Let's keep pushing for the truth together.